Welcome everyone as we learn the venerable learning of Chok Yisrael for Parshas Vayakheil, Yom Shlishi, day 3, Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. The Torah tells us as HaMishkan, the Mishkan is the lower covering, what you see from the inside of the tabernacle is considered the Mishkan, which was the Yiriyah Tachtaina, the lowest covering made from the goat's hair, and then the Es Ahalai, the next covering, I'm sorry, the Yiriyah Tachtaina, which was seen from the bottom of the inside, which is called the Mishkan, and then Es Ahalai, that's the Yiriyas Izim, which is the next covering of goat's hair. Ve'es Michseyu, and that's the upper covering, which was the covering made from the ram, the hide of the ram dyed red, and the tachash, the multicolored tachash. Es Karasav, its hooks. Ves Karashav, its boards. Es Brichav, its bars. Es Amudav, its pillars. Ves Adonav, and its sockets. Says Rashi, Es HaMishkan, that's Yiriyas HaTachtainus, that's the lowest covering, Haniris B'Seichai, which was seen from the inside, which is Kriya Mishkan. Es Ahalai, Hu Oyel Yiriyas Izim, that's the tent covering of the goat's hair, Ha'asi L'Gag, which was made into roof. The Es Michseyu, that's Michsei Oirist Elam V'Atchashim, that's the covering of the hides of the ram and the multicolored miraculous tachash. Yas Mashkana, Yas Prasev, Yas Chayfoi, Yas Perfoi, Yas Tafoi, Yas Avroi, Yas Amudoi, Vyas Samchay. The pasuk says it's Orain, the Aron HaKodesh, Ves Badav, its poles, Es HaKapiris, the ark cover, the Eis Pereiches HaMosach, and the curtain that separated, that blocked the view between the Kodesh and the Kodesh Kadashim. Says Rashi, what's the etymology of Mosach? Says Rashi, the Es Pereiches HaMosach, Pereiches HaMechitza, the curtain that acted as a division, Kol davar hameigin bein milmala, anything that protects from above, bein mekeneged, or from one who is standing opposite, kori mesech uschach. It's called the mesech, a curtain or a covering. V'chein sachta ba'adai, and also I covered for his sake, because sin and samach are interchangeable. Hinei soch es darkei, he blocks his way. And the pasuk continues, Yasaroin of Yasaricho, Yas Kapurta, Yas Peruchta Frasa, Es HaShulchan, the table, Ves Badav, its poles, Ves Kol Kalov, all of its accessories, Ve'es Lechem Aponim, and the Lechem Aponim, why is it called bread that has faces? Yas Pesora, Vyas Aricho, Vyas Komonoi, Vyas Lechem Apaya. Says Rashi, Kvar Pirashti, I already explained in Perek Chafei, why is it called lechem with faces, panim in the plural? Al Shem Shoyolei panim lekan lekan. It had a face on either side because it was made like a box which was open. So it had a rise on each side that looks like a face on each side. It was made like an open box. The Eis Menorah Sama'or, and the lamp for illumination. Ves Keleha, its accessories. Ves Neroisea, its lamps. Ves Shemen HaMa'or, and the oil for lighting. Says Rashi, Ve'yas Menarta Danore, Ve'yas Manoah, Ve'yas Batzina, Ve'yas Mishcha Danurusa. Says Rashi, Ves Keleha, its accessories. Malkachayim, the tweezers, or machtais, and the small scoopers or shovels to take out the ash. Neroisea, Lutzesh Balaz, that's the lamps. Bazichen, the containers, she'ashemen v'apsilos nesunim b'hem, that the oil and the wicks were placed in them. The eish shemen amor, this was a special oil for illumination. It was a highly choice oil. Af hu tzarech chachmei leiv. It also needed specialists, people that were wise at heart, shu mishuna mishashmonim, because it was different than other oils. First of all, they picked the choicest olives from the top of the olive grove. They mildly put pressure on it. And that which came out first was very pure oil. There's Mizbach HaKetoris, the altar for the incense, that's the Mizbeach Hazav. There's Badav, its poles. There's Shemen HaMishcha, and the anointing oil. There's Ketoris HaSaman, the perfumed incense. There's Masach HaPesach, and also the curtain in front of the door of the Mishkan, the Pesach HaMishkan, for the eastern opening of the Mishkan. V'yas madbecha d'kteris b'smaya, v'yas aricho, v'yas mishcha d'revusa, v'yas kteris b'smaya, v'yas prosa d'sara, l'isra mashkena. Says Rashi, Masach HaPesach, Vilam. This was a veil, a curtain, shalifnei HaMizrach, that blocked the opening on the east, shlo yasham kroshim, because there weren't boards, v'lo yariyos, and there weren't curtains. And now we turn to Malachim, where we finished the construction of the two huge copper pillars and their crowns at the front of the antechamber of the first temple. And now we're going to learn about the pool, which is called the bath of Shlomo, the bath that Shlomo made for mikvah purposes. Vayas es hayom, he made this huge pool, mutzak, cast from metal, eser ba'ama, it had a diameter, it was round, it had a diameter of 10 amos, misvasai at svasai, from one edge to another, ogul saviv, circular roundabout, v'chamesh ba'ama kaimasai, it was 5 amos in height, v'kav, and if you took a string, this is a way of saying the circumference, v'kav shloshim ba'ama yosav oisai saviv, a string would go round about at 30 amos. That means it had a circumference of 30 amos. Upkoim mitachas l'svasai, there were balls, design work in the shape of balls underneath the edge, saviv, roundabout, saviv v'maisai eser ba'ama, there were 10 balls to an amma, makifim es hayam saviv, encircling roundabout the pool, shnei turim hapakoim, there were 2 rows of these balls, yitzukim b'yitzikasai, cast out of metal. Oimed, now, the pool was supported al shnei aser bakar. It was supported by statues of 12 oxen. Shloisha painim tzafaina, 3 facing the north, ushloisha panim yama, 3 facing the west, ushloisha panim negba, 3 facing the south, ushloisha painim mizracha, and 3 facing the east. Vayom aleya milmala, the pool sat upon them. V'kol achareim, and their hind side, baisa, was faced inward, so you didn't see the hind side of these statues. V'ovyoy tefach, the thickness was a tefach. Usvasai, and the lip of the pool was kemaise svas kois perach shoishin. It was the lip of a goblet with the work of either rose or lily. Alpayim bas yachel. And this pool was able to hold 2,000 bas, which was 6,000 saw. It held 6,000 saw. And now it tells us there were also bases, platforms made for fountains. Vayas es hamachonos, and they made like chariots. These were bases out of Eser, they made 10 bases, 10 pedestals, Nechoshes out of copper, Arba ba'ama oirech hamachayna. These pedestals were 4 amas long, ha'echas, va'arba ba'ama rachba, and 4 amas wide, v'shloish ba'ama kimas, and 3 amas tall. We're going to learn more details about this in the next chok. And now we learn from the wisdom of Shlomo HaMelech. Oh, kavod le'ish sheves meriv. It's a great honor to a person that he ceases from getting involved in a quarrel. Sometimes it's very seductive to get involved in a quarrel. So you're going to take our side? Yeah, you're going to be active? You're going to take a stance? It's a kavod le'ish. It's a glory for a person, sheves meriv, to stay out of a quarrel. Remember, machloikis is chelik mavas. It's a portion of death. The kol evil yizgala, while a fool is exposed, because fools get involved in fighting. So a fool, says Shlomo HaMelech, is exposed because he gets involved in the fight. Mechoreif otzel lo yacharesh. In the cold of winter, the lazy person doesn't bother plowing. He says, oh, it's cold outside. I can't deal with it. V'shal bakotzer, he has to beg at the time of harvest because he has nothing to show. Mayim amukim eitza belevish. Deep waters is the counsel in the heart of man. The ish tvuna yidlena. The understanding person draws it out. So there are many meanings over here. One is, as Rashi tells us, that the Rebbe has deep understanding, but he doesn't reveal all that he has. But the wise student mines and asks questions and extracts it from the Rebbe. That's one pshat. Another pshat that this is talking about the Torah that the Malach taught us, b'mei imam, when we were in our mother's womb. Now that, although the Malach struck us and we forgot it, but it's deep in our subconscious. And the wise person, with the confidence that he has this chelik, he draws it out because he knows that it's in his reach. Rav Adam Yikra Ish Chasdai. The majority of people ask for help and the kindness of people. But V'ish Emunim, somebody who could be trusted to fulfill his promises, Mi Yimsa, who could find such a person? In other words, a person that could be trusted to deliver is not so common. Misalech besumay tzadik. A person who walks with integrity is righteous. But even his children benefit. Because when a father is a righteous person, the children, if they follow in his ways, they get schus avos. Ashrei vonav achra. Fortunate is his children after him. Now, the adventure for today is the 6th perek of Masechtas Ksuvos. Let's see. I think I brought a Ksuvos here. Yeah. Our adventure for the day is the 6th perek of Masechtas Ksuvos, Shas Cotton. Metzias Isha, a married woman, what she finds, Umaisi Yodeha, and her salary, Labala, goes to her husband. The Yerushasa, her inheritance, let's say her grandmother passed away, and she's the only heir, so she has a maternal inheritance. So what happens with her inheritance is they buy land. The land is hers, and hu oichel peiros b'chayeha. He gets the use of its fruit, or if it's an apartments, the rent, while she's alive. Bashta upgama, if let's say somebody damages her humiliation and her devaluation, shalah goes to her. And again, karka is bought, the karka belongs to her, and the fruit goes to the husband. Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira says it depends. Bisman shebeseiser, if she's damaged under her clothing, so losh nei chalakim, she gets 2/3, v'loy echad, he gets 1/3. 1/3 goes to him because ishtay kegufay, so it's like he was hit too. So he gets 1/3 of the damages that he keeps, and the other 2/3 is hers. They buy karka and he enjoys the usufruct. But when it's an exposed area of hers, so then he suffers because he has to look at her. So she might be repulsive to him. So loishnei chalakim, he gets 2/3, v'lo echad, and she gets 1/3. Shalai, the 2/3 yinasa miyad, we give to him immediately. V'shalah, her 1/3, yilkaf b'em kaka, we buy for her real estate, v'uaychel peris, and he enjoys usufruct. Now we're going to talk about a dowry. So a paisik mois l'chasanai, if the father-in-law promises a dowry to the groom. Now that's recorded in the ksuva, so that if he dies or it gets divorced, it comes back to her. So a paisik mois l'chasanai, if he promises money to the groom, umeis chasanai, and the groom dies before the marriage was consummated. They only were mureses. And now she falls liyibam to her husband's brother. The husband's brother cannot claim the dowry. Amru chacham, the chacham say, yakalu sheyamer, the father-in-law could say, La'chicha yisirei tzalitin, I promised the dowry to your brother. But to you, ef shilitain, I don't want to give it. Now, let's talk about the dowry. I already made a bracha. Paska lahachlis like 1,000 dinar. If the father-in-law said that he's giving the groom 1,000 dinar, since the groom has the ability to invest and use the 1,000 dinar, so he records 50% more in the dowry if he gets this divorced. He puts in the ksuva 1,500 dinar. He adds 50%. But let's say the father brings in, the father-in-law gives him movables. Let's say he gives him an expensive bedroom set, right? So, and they evaluate it at $5,000. So, since when they make the evaluation, they want to make the kala look important, so they exaggerate the evaluation by 1/5. So if they evaluated it at 5,000, he only has to enter into the dowry 1/5 less. He could put it 1/5 less. However, shumbamana, if they evaluated it at 100 and shavamana, in other words, we know they didn't exaggerate, then ein lo elamana. Then they put into the ksuva 100. Now, shumbamana, if if they did it the other way around, if they told him, he put it into the ksuva before they gave the goods. So shum b'mana, if they told her to put, if they told him to record in the ksuva goods of 100. Now 100 is 25 selah, because the selah is 4 dinner. So if they told him to put 100, so then her family has to give goods a fifth more, because they put in the ksuva a fifth less. So a fifth more would be 125. Now 125 is, since there's 4 dinner to a selah, so 124 would be 25 dinner. So 125 is 25 is 100. So another 5, so 5 times 4 is, another 5 would be, it's 25. So another 5, which would be, one second. Another 5 would be.
This here 124 plus 1 is 1.
Right, because what happens is he put in 100, so we have to add a fifth more. So a fifth more would be instead of 100. It would be 125 dinner. Now 125 dinner is 125 dinner is 31 dinner and a dinner.
That's 4 times 30.
Right. So again, let's go it over again. If they put in a mana, so noisenes, she has to give goods of shloishim v'achas sela v'dinner, 31 sela and a dinner. The 30 sela is 30 times 4 is 124, and another 30 times 30 sela is 120, right? And then another sela is 124, plus 1 dinner is 125. Now, uba'arba meyes, it's if they put in the ksuva 400 of merchandise, so then she has to deliver a fifth more. He knows senes chamesh meyes. She has to deliver 500. Ma shechosin poisik, what the chosin puts in the ksuva, who poisik pachas chaymish. She always puts in a fifth less, because they exaggerated to make her look good. Now, Paska lahachnis like Safim, we already learned that if she makes up to give money, right, so he has to give 50% more in the ksuva because he has use for the money. Now, we said that by a lot of money, that if he's promised 1,000, he has to put in 1,500. But that's true even with a small amount of money. If he's promised a sela, which is 4 dinner, so he has to put in 6 dinner. So, pasuk lachs like ksafim, sela kesef. If it's a sela which is 4 dinner, he has to add 50%. Nasa shisha dinarim. It has to be 6. Now, for every mana, for every 100 that the father-in-law agrees to give for the dowry, he has to give her a allowance of 10 dinarim for her cosmetic basket. Hechosin mekabel alav asara dinarim lakupa. He has to give her 10 dinar for her cosmetic basket, l'chol mana umana. For every 100 that's promised. The idea is that if she's granted a bigger dowry, she's more of a wealthy woman and has more cosmetic needs, and therefore you have to give a bigger allowance. Shimon Gamliel says, while this is the rule at the time, but hakol kaminig hamadina, everything goes according to the local custom. Hamasi es bitoy stam, somebody marries off his daughter without specification, lo yifchas la mechamishim zuz. He should not provide her a dowry less than 50 zuz. Now, pasak lachnisa aruma, if he makes up that after she gets engaged, he's not giving her clothing, and the chassan takes it upon himself to grant her clothing. So the chassan can't say, look, when she moves into me, I'll clothe her. Lo yomer abal kishachnisa lebesi achasana biksusi. When she moves into me, I'll give her clothing. No. He has to clothe her according to his standard, because it says, he malin imai. She goes up to his standards, so he has to already clothe her according to his standards while she's by her father. The Chena Mesi as a Yisaima, when they marry off an orphan girl, lo yifchas la mechamishim zuz. If the charity pushka doesn't have any money, they have to give a minimum of 50 zuz, even if they have to make a special collection. Im yesh bakis, however, if there is money in the charity kitty, then they support her according to her previous standard. Now the din is, when a girl's father dies, although the boys inherit, a girl is entitled to 1/10 of the estate for her dowry. So Yesoima shesiato ima Vayakheil medata. Here we have a minor orphan that was married by the mother or brother with her consent. And they tried to rook her. And they wrote her a ksuva, dowry of 100 or 50 zuz. She doesn't know any better. Oh, so much money? She can, when she grows up, to extract from them what she was due. She could extract the 1/10 of the estate. Rabbi Yehuda says that if before the father died, he married off his first daughter and gave her a small dowry, then she can't claim 1/10 of the estate. Then Yinasan Lashniya, we give to the second daughter, Kedash Yinasan Rishayna, like he gave to the first daughter. She can't claim more, because they say, look, dad gave to your sister this amount, so you're only entitled to this amount. The Chacham say no. Sometimes he was poor before, but then he became more wealthy. Or he was wealthy, and he became poor, so you can't draw anything from the first daughter. They evaluate the estate, and they give her 1/10 of the estate. If, let's say, the father left money for his daughter in escrow, and he told the one that was managing the money that he should buy for the daughter a property. And she says, no, give it to my new husband, let him buy the property. My husband is trusted. The one who is managing the money should not listen to her, but he should buy a piece of property, because it's a mitzvah l'shmaya divrei hameis. It's a mitzvah to fulfill the will of the deceased. Divrei hameis, that's the opinion of Rameir. Rabbi Yossi says, I don't understand. Even if he buys a field, the husband could sell it and buy something else. If it would be a field, and she wants to sell it, she has the right the daughter wants to sell it, it's as good as sold. And she could use the money to buy whatever she wants. So therefore, if she says, let the husband buy it, so we listen to her. But that's only if she's an adult. Rather, we don't listen to what she says. Rather, the middleman should do what the father said. And now we learn a very interesting piece of Gemara in Masechtas Ksuvos. Tana Rabbanan. Yasam v'yasayma shabo l'isparnas. If an orphan boy and an orphan girl come for clothing or support, mefarnes in as yasayma, we first support the orphan girl, v'achkach mefarnes in as yasam, and only then do we support the orphan boy, because boys could go around begging. Boys could beg by the doors. A girl doesn't go around to beg. So therefore we take care of the girl first. Yasim v'yasayma shaboli nase, a boy and a girl that come to get married. Masiyan as a yasayma, we marry off the girl first. Va'akach masiyan as a yasim. Mibnei shaboishta shel isha, the embarrassment of a girl that's single is meruba mishal ish, is greater than a boy. This is a very interesting piece of information. It's more embarrassing for a girl to be alone than a boy. Tan Rabbanan, Yasim Shabal Lisa, an orphan that comes to get married, Seichrin loy bayis, first we rent him a house, Umatzian loy mita v'kol klei tashmishay, and we make a bed for him and get him a table, v'achakach masiyan lo yisha, and only then do we marry off a woman. First we give him the basics. Shenemar dei machsarai asher yachsaloi, we give him what he is lacking, that which is missing. Dei machsarai ze abayis, a house. Asher yachsa ze mita v'shulchan, what's missing? A table, a bed and a table. Loi zu isha, then we get him a wife. Chen weimer esa loi, make for him an ezer kenegdei, a partner alongside him. What he is missing, you're commanded to support him. You don't have to make him wealthy. You just have to give him what he's lacking. Says the Gemara, afilu sus lirkavalav, that which is he feels he is missing. Even if he was an Ani ben Tovim, they used to have a stallion to ride, and he used to have a runner running in front of him saying, make way for Mr. Smith, make way for Mr. Smith. If that's what he's used to, then that's what's Asher Yechsalai, and that's what you have to provide him. Amr alav al Hilazake, Shalokach lo Ani ben Tovim echad, that he provided for one aristocratic poor man, sus lir kavalav, a horse to ride, ve'eved loretz lefanov, and a servant to be a crier before him, make way for Chaim. Pam achas loimatz eved loretz lefanov, one time he didn't find somebody to do it for him, ve'ratz lefanov shloisha milan, and Hillel did it, make way for Chaim, make the great Hillel. And in front of him, make way for Chaim. A man came before Reb Nechemia. Amalei b'me'at sayid. What do you eat? Amalei b'basar shamein. I eat a tomahawk steak, v'yayin yoshin, and I have an aged Cabernet. So Reb Nechemia told him, "Ritzeincha shetegalgal imi ba'adoshin." Well, I don't know about a tomahawk steak and aged Cabernet, but you want to have some lentil soup with me? You want to eat lunch with me? So Gilgal imay ba'adashim. So he ate with him his lentil soup, v'meis, and he died. Amar, so Reb Nechemia said, Oy loy lezeh, woe is this person, sha'arog Nechemia, that Nechemia killed. So the question is, why didn't he say, woe Nechemia, that he killed this person? What do you mean, woe to this person? Adrabah, I didn't provide him with the tomahawk steak. Says no. Nechemia was blaming him because he got into fancy tastes. killed himself by becoming addicted to things that were beyond his reach. He shouldn't have become such a fancy Delancey. But now the Gemara tells us another story. A man came before Rava. Amalai, Rava said to him, what do you eat? Amalai b'tarnegolas ptuma, I eat fat pheasant, fat hen, v'yayin yoshin, and aged wine. Amalai, so he said to him, v'loi chayshes l'dukka d'tzipura, aren't you worried to put pressure on the tzibur? You're taking stock of money for such expensive meals? So he answered, listen to what he answered, Rava. Am I eating from the community? I'm eating from Hashem. The eyes of everybody looks to you. And you give each person their food in his time. So the Gemara says, it should say, since it says everybody's eye looks up to you in the plural, it should say, and you give their food bi'itam, in their time. Bi'itam lo'nemer ela bi'itoi. That means that you give each person what they need. His sustenance in its time. Adahachi, in the meantime, Asei achsei de Rava, Rava's sister showed up, who he didn't see for 13 years. And what does she bring him as a present? And he brings fattened pheasant and aged cabernet. Amari, so Rava says, Maidikama, what's this? I haven't seen her in 13 years. She brings exactly what this man needs. Amalei nanesilach. I humble myself to you, Rava says. Come and eat. And the Mepharshim say over here that this man only ate it when he needed it for his health. And he didn't spoil himself. And therefore, he was right to ask for it. Now we're going to learn a Zoyar which tells us the marvelous consequences of somebody that benches with kavanah. Remember, when you bench, you're doing 3 mitzvahs d'oraisa. The first 3 brachas of benching is biblical, and 1 mitzvah d'Rabbanan. Hatov HaMeitiv was enacted in Yavne, and it's d'Rabbanan. So Rabbi Yossi Pasach v'Amar, Rabbi Yossi opens this discussion of the Zayar with a pasuk from Rus. Vayakheil Boaz ate, vayesht, and he drank, vayitav libay, and his heart was gladdened. Now, the Zayar says, what does that mean? It usually doesn't say that after eating your heart is gladdened. What does that mean? Ma'al vayitav libay. What does it mean? His heart was gladdened. The Baruch al Mizayne, because he benched. The Kmua, this we have already established. It's talking about benching. V'dahu Raza, and this is the secret. The man de Mavarech al Mizayne, one who benches on his food. Da'otiv l'libe. This gladdens the heart. But what does it mean? Whose heart? Oman ihu, and whose heart? Dichsiv lecha amar libi. To you, says my heart. Heart over here refers to the Shechina. Uksiv tzur levavi, the rock of my heart. This refers to the Shechina, the Bechina of Malchus. And it's saying that when we bench, we gladden the heart of the Shechina. Or begin the Birchas Mezayna, Chaviva Kamei Kutsha Berichu. Because the blessing of food is very precious before Hashem. So kol man devorich al sava, whoever says a blessing on their fullness, oitev v'chadei la'aser akra, he makes good and joyous another place. That means the Shechina. Or kamad ihi iu mevarich b'chedva or be'ena tava, when he makes a blessing with happiness and with a generous eye, hachi yavina le b'chedva or be'ena tava. When he makes a blessing with a good and happy eye, he is granted from Shemayim hashpois. He's granted blessings with happiness and with a benevolent eye. Ubegin kach, and therefore warns desire, lo yishtakach atzav klal. When a person benches, he shouldn't be sad. Ela bechedve, he should be happy. Or b'milan daraisa, and he should bench after saying words of Torah. V'yishave libe u're'usei, he should direct his heart and his desire l'meyev bracha da, to grant this blessing baraza de itzra, with this necessary secret. Now, Raza Hacha, listen to this secret. Listen to what happens when he benches. Arba resichin shalitin, 4 chariots that have control, ba'arba sitrin, on the 4 sides, the north, the south, the west, and the east. Umashirian, each chariot has its camp of angels. These 4 chariots, itzanu me'ahi birchosa desava, get sustained from the benching when one was full. Ube'inon milan de baruch ata, and these words of baruch ata Hashem, ishaniv is rabbi vis aterbe, benefit and cause to swell and crown these chariots and these encampments of angels. Umande mevarech, the one who blesses itzrich ru'usa, he has to do so with a desire, bechedva, with happiness, ube'ena tova. V'aldok siv toiv ayin hu yavarech. The one who has a good eye, he should bless. Because look at the end of the pasuk. V'achas shvil l'sefer dekra. Look at the end of the pasuk. D'chsiv ki nasan milachmoi ladol, because he gave his bread to the poor. It doesn't mean that he gave his bread to poor people. The Eloi Temach Dol over here is a reference to the Shechina. It's a reference to the Bechina of Malchus, which is poor, and it needs to receive the hashpois from us. The Eloi Temach Yakra Lav Reisha Sefer V'Lav Sefer Reisha. The beginning is not connected to the end. It's not talking about a person that takes care of poor people. Elatov Ayin. If a person benches with happiness and a benevolent eye, kamode kimna, hu yavarech vadai, that it has to be ba'ina tova b'chedva, it has to be with a good eye and happiness. V'nav iu lemigna levarcha b'chedva. It's not for nothing that he blesses with happiness. From this blessing, and from this joy, nasa melachmai ledol. Here, dol is a reference to none other than the Shechina. Asa de itzrich li'itzana mikol sitrin, a place that needs to be supported from all sides. Asa de leslei migarme klum. Now this is very esoteric, but the Bechina of Malchus needs to be supported from the spheres of Chesed, Gvurat, Feres, Netzach, Chayid, and Yisai. V'iskalil mikol sitrin. It needs to be united from all sides. Milan ilan, these secrets, lo yismasru el l'chakimim. It's only given to the wise, the yodin, raz, and ilan, that know these elevated secrets, va'orchen, the rice, and the ways of the Torah. Tochazei, Boaz Tov Einahab. Boaz had a generosity. The Tukva de Mitzcha Loi Havi Beila Olma. He never had an iron brow. He never had a sternness. Maksiv, Vayavoy Lishkav B'Tktsei Ha'arema. He came to sleep at the edge of the heap. Now this is a reference to when he dies. Raza Dichsiv Bitneich, your belly, Arema Skitim, is like a pile of wheat. This is a pasuk in Shir Hashirim, and it's referring to the Eibishter, that his belly, it's talking about, when Shir Hashirim, it's using a metaphor of a beautiful woman, and it's referring to the Shechina. So it means that when Boaz will come Lishkav to die, he'll be together with the Shechina. Me'achal lifna, from here we learn, Kol man de mavarich birchas mezayna k'dekayos. If you make benching properly, bechedva, with joy, berusa deliba, with a desire of heart, kad slik me'ayalma, when a person leaves after 120, aser istaknale, a place is made for him, go rozin ilain, a place of elevated secrets, beicholin kadishin, in the holy chambers. Zako iu barnosh. Fortunate is a person, the noter pikude de more, who keeps the laws of his creator, v'yada raza dilhon, and knows these secrets. The leslach pikuda baraisa, there's no single law in the Torah, the lo Italian bei rozin ilan, that doesn't have many elevated secrets, unahirin, and illuminations, vizizin ilan, and celestial projections. Ubenei nashalo yadi, people don't know. V'lo mashkichim biyakar demarein, and they don't pay attention to the glory of their creator, what there is in the benching. Zakor chulakeyan de tzadikaya, fortunate is the portion of the righteous, inon de mishtadle be'araisa, those that weary themselves with the Torah. Zakoin inon ba'alma dain, fortunate are they in this world, or ba'alma da'asi, in the next world. And now, in Musar, we talk about the dangers of power and glory. Hasrara, power, va'kavod, and glory, he kashem ma'od. It's a very difficult thing. He mevia la'adam l'dei hagava, because it brings a person to arrogance, shi'akoshem mikulam, which is the most difficult of traits. V'al yidei kain, and if he has this, yatal ema yitzeir al tzibur, he'll cast a fear on the community, shaloi l'shem shemayim, not for the sake of heaven, asher soifei neker min ha'olam, that will cause him eventually be uprooted from the world. V'zer lo yatzliach acharav klal, and even his descendants won't prosper. K'moshe amru rabbeinu zifranu lebracha, like our rabbis taught us, and as we find the great tragedy of Yeravam ben Nevat, the king of the north, K'moshe matzinu b'Yeravam hachacham hagadol, that very wise man, that all the other rabbis were like klipas hashum, were like the peel of a garlic, like we keniskelael that we mentioned above. Shal yedei bakashas hasra, because he wanted power, and therefore, since if he would go up to the temple, he wouldn't be able to sit in the Hazara. Only Rechavim would be able to sit in the Hazara, because ein yeshiva ba'Hazara l'malchus beis David bilvad. Nitrid hu v'zar min ha'olam hazeh, he and his descendants were lost from this world, ve'ein lo chelik la'olam haba, and have no portion in the next world. V'shol b'chir Hashem, and Shol, the choice one of Hashem, who when he was appointed as king, keben shana b'molchai, he was like a year-old babe, shaloi tam tamchei, he never tasted sin. V'yanech b'alakelim, he was so modest that he hid by the plow utensils rather than appear as king. Yet he was such a beirach ben asrari, he ran away from power. But v'saifai, but at the end, nilkad berishta, he got caught up in the net of power, and he told Shmuel, Amar, kabdeini not neged ziknei ami, give me honor amongst the elders, v'radaf achareha, and he ran after covered, and at the end, v'ibed hamalucha, he lost the monarchy, v'nereg hu shloisha banav, he and his 3 sons were executed, keniska la'el, like we mentioned, b'midas hakina, about the ugliness of jealousy. Amru Rabbi Seinu Zichron Levracha Hakina v'Ataiva v'Kavod, jealousy, desire, and honor, Moitzian as Adam and Olam, rejects a person from this world early. V'Amru Rabbi Seinu Zichron Levracha Harabonis, power, Mikapeches v'Kaiveres es Balea, it shortens and buries the life of one who pursues it. Because it brings him to lord over his creator. That your heart should not be arrogant. In order that you should reign long on your kingdom. But if a person allows his heart to become arrogant, it leads to a shortening of life. Now we said that there were 18 brachas in Shemona Esrei, but we know there's a 19th bracha. We know that it says, V'lam al shinim, al ti sikva. Let the slanderers not have a hope. So the Rambam tells us, B'mei Rabbi Gamliel, in the days of Rabbi Gamliel, Rabu haminim b'Yisrael, there increased heretics amongst the Jews. Vayemitzaron liYisrael, and they distressed Klal Yisrael. Umasisin ha'ison loshav me'achrei Hashem, and they seduced them to turn from the way of Hashem. Since they saw, Rabbi Gamliel saw, that this was a greater distress than all other needs, Amad hu bezdinai, Rabbi Gamliel and his bezdin got up, v'hiskin bracha acheres, and enacted a 19th bracha, shetia ba she'ela milfnei Hashem, that there should be a request from for Hashem la'abein aminim, to destroy these heretics who delivered us over to the Goyim and seduced Klal Yisrael. V'kava yisab atfila, and enacted in davening, k'dei shetia arucha b'fi hakol, that it should be fluent in everybody. Nimsu kol brachas shebetfila, turns out all the brachas in Shemona Esrei were Sha Esrei brachas, a total of 19 brachas. B'chol tefillah sheb'chol yom, mispal adam Sha Esrei brachas elu, should daven these 19 brachas al haseder, according to the way it's arranged. But remember, they didn't have sidurim in those days. So b'amed dvam amurim kishemotza daitay mechuvenes, when a person was able to concentrate l'shanay tamar likros, and he was fluent in these brachas. Avalim ha'yatorid v'dachak, if he was distracted or under pressure, or he wasn't fluent in all 19 brachas, Yispal Shoyl Shrishonis, he should daven the first 3 brachas of Magad Avram, Tchias HaMeisim, and Atar Kodesh. Or bracha achas me'ein kol ha'emtzoyis, there was another bracha called Havinenu that incorporated all the middle brachas, V'sholosh achraynis, and then the last 3 of Ritzei and the bracha of Al Kulam and the bracha of Sim Shalom, V'yatzi Yedei Chayvasai, and then he fulfills his requirement. We want to thank you for joining us and wish you a wonderful day.